Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Wrestlepurists Podcast. I am Montel. I'm joined today by Manny and Backup Hangman, who is definitely not CM Punk. Just want to get that out of the way to start off with. But yeah, man, I think we should just jump in. We're already a little bit late. So yeah, man. So first things first, Bret Hart, well, apparently, as reported by Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter today, people in AEW are under the belief that Bret Hart has already signed with WWE, and that is why he has not. That's why he's not coming in, apparently. So yeah, Hangman, you're on mute, by the way. But yeah, man. So I'll start with you, Manny. Like, what are your initial thoughts and reaction as to how this has happened? And are you are you feeling let down that we're not going to get FTR and Bret Hart? All those good things.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed, but it kind of like makes sense since FTR is working with Brett on the indie show. I
Yeah,
forgot who they're wrestling, but they're doing that. And then also, it's kind of weird too because Punk was wearing Brett's gear on Wednesday
yeah.
when he was wrestling Dustin.
It's a weird one, man. So FTR are wrestling with Bret Hart as the manager for. I've got a big time wrestling. Um, They're going to be facing Brock Anderson and Brian Pillman Jr. with Arn Anderson in their corner. So, that's what they're doing. Apparently, the reason that this is happening at an indie show in the first place is because it's not going to be happening in AEW. So, apparently the deal that they've signed with WWE, that AEW believes they've signed anyway, is a pretty lucrative deal. So, it's quite funny to think that WWE might have literally just thrown a bag at Bret Hart just to keep him out of the AEW. But
Isn't that weird?
Backup,
Because I
Hangman,
remember,
you're on mute again, Backup, man. What
Yeah,
you
no,
doing
I
there?
was uh, I was just setting my stuff up while you guys
Oh,
were
okay.
talking. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm
man.
listening. I'm listening.
Yeah, go ahead. What's your take? What's your famous take on all this?
It's a damn shame, man. Cause everything that's been done on television would lead you to believe that at least AEW believed that Bret Hart was coming. All
Mm-hmm.
the FDR setups, the fact that they kind of let Tully go, the promos with pink background, CM Punk
Mm-hmm.
and Dax having these, just Bret Hart nerd bait matches. Like these guys have literally like everything Punk and FTR have been doing for the last like 2 months at least. It's almost like their fandom of Bret being ramped up to the point where it's like more and more overt. Like every match
Mm-hmm.
has certain spots that each guy does, whether it be the turnbuckle bump or the same way that they're doing the pin covers, everything. So yeah, man. I mean, it certainly seemed like they were under the belief that Brett was coming.
Mm-hmm.
So I almost like I wonder what's going on here. Like, did they not check what was Brett's status before they started doing all this stuff? Is it
It's
just purely,
weird.
you know what I mean?
I
Yeah, like you would
yeah,
you would think you would think they would look into it before they decided like let's just start teasing Brett crazy because that's what they normally do. The Kyle O'Reilly teases were clearly done because they knew he was on the way. You know what I'm saying? Like last year, for example. So I'm not really sure what's going on here. I could totally see WWE paying Brett to not show up at another major promotion. That's something they would do. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like I don't totally know what's going on here because it's like I feel like AEW wouldn't do this much just Brett teasing if there wasn't at least something planned regarding that. So I'm not sure.
it's weird too because I remember, I think it was when they announced the Owen. They asked Brett if he wanted to be a part of it, and he said he wanted to. Even the rest of, I think the older brother of Owen, I don't know his name, but even said he
Hmm.
wanted to be there for the tournament. And then
Yeah,
if you look at Punk during the match with Dustin, he did like three callbacks to Brett.
yeah.
He did
Mm-hmm.
the leg breaker, and he did the pin attempt that he did with Davey.
With Davy Boy, yeah, at SummerSlam. It just I don't know what's going on here. The thing is, the one thing that would lead me to believe that maybe this wasn't just a totally collaborative plan is I don't know if you guys saw Brett was asked at like a signing during I think Mania weekend about like are you coming to AEW, and he said something to the effect of like why would I be doing that? And some people would take that as like just a wrestler working people, but Brett's such a straightforward, honest dude that
Yeah.
like that's not like his style. Like if Brett really was coming 100%, he would just say like, like just stay tuned or something like that. He wouldn't like be coy. Brett's not a coy guy. So
Yeah.
Did you
I
see
don't.
like his? Did you see Dave's tweet the other day about saying that somebody got in contact with him to send Punk and FTR Bret Hart jerseys?
No, I didn't
Really?
even hear about that.
I didn't see it. I don't remember seeing that, to be honest.
It
But,
sounds cool.
Yeah, Dave. Yeah, somebody got in contact with him to send him the Skull jerseys.
oh,
That's pretty
cool.
dope.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, no, I really hope they do work it out and Brett can show up because, I mean, we have a Jericho Appreciation Society, and we have an unnamed Shawn Michaels Appreciation Society in this promotion, and that's the Super Click. And so, we know who the Bret Hart boys are. We know it's FTR and
yeah.
CM Punk. You know what I'm saying? And
They're teasing
they've
that
been
faction too.
yeah, and they've been like I said, they've been ramping it up, and it's coinciding with some of the best FTR matches in AEW, and CM Punk's doing a lot of really good wrestling work lately. So, I really hope they can set something up where we get Brett showing up at the Owen, and if anything, just maybe seeing him by FTR side.
Yeah, definitely. It's but like you've both alluded to, it's just really weird, man, because it feels
Weird
like
story.
it must have been something that he signed with, if he has, because we don't know. Because even Dave said even Dave wrote in the newsletter that he obviously was very careful with saying that AEW under the belief
Mm-hmm.
of the contract being signed, but
Mm-hmm.
we don't know, and nowhere's actually reported it.
Yeah.
Obviously, because it's came from Dave as well. I had a bunch of people in my mentions telling me they're not believing anything until Sean Ross
Nuts
Sapp
is a
reported it.
liar.
Yeah, and all that,
Well,
all
friends with
all
Dave right
those
now.
things. But yeah,
I'm sure he
it's
just
really
put.
weird, man.
The
I
usual
feel like
nuts is a liar.
WWE must have just threw the bag at him recently.
That
Literally, like that is my takeaway from this
Vince
because
is Vince is
hints.
something else. If this dude literally was just like, could you just imagine if one of Vince's snitches just like went up to him like, "Hey Vince, they're building a bread on dynamite," and he's like, "No, they're not, pal,"
Yeah.
and he just fucking hit him.
It's something like that. Because at the end of the day, hints are always hints.
Yeah,
And with it being Bret Hart, like, people are always gonna pay like homage to him and do like
yeah,
callbacks to his spots and things like that. And
yeah,
we all know that FTR and Punk love him anyway,
yeah,
but you can't deny that they've definitely ramped it up recently.
yeah. It's been overt.
Like I said, it like hints are hints, but this felt like something different.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
usually
I feel
AEW
like
doesn't do that for a reason.
I refuse to believe that FTR cutting promos in front of a pink. And look, I'm not gonna go tinfoil hat mode here, but it's like they're cutting promos in front of they're cutting promos in front of pink background. CM Punk is wearing black and pink, and he even has the kick pads back matching with his trunks, like meaning that
yeah,
he either found his old gear or he had some new ones made. And it's like, so you're gonna tell me he made this new, he got new gear made to tribute Bret Hart just to do it? Like, nah, bro. Like, where there's smoke, there's fire in AEW. Usually, they don't
They don't
tease
tease
things.
stuff.
They don't tease things that they don't deliver on. So who knows, man? Maybe Tony is in the know regarding Brett's status, and he hasn't informed everybody. And so some people in AEW that are talking to Dave are in the dark. Who knows?
hmm. It's a weird one. More current take on it is that they were definitely under the impression that they were at least able to get him.
At some point, at least.
Yeah, at some point, because you just don't do all this otherwise.
No.
There's just not really too much reason for it. So I'll get your final takes on it. Do you think that we'll see Bret Hart in AEW at some point this year?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
double or nothing.
It really would be something, especially now.
Mhm.
Especially now that this span's been thrown into the work. So
Mhm.
it'll definitely be something.
He was at the first one too, right? He was at the
Yeah,
first
he was
Double
at
or
the
Nothing,
first Double or Nothing. He had a promo segment with MJF.
and he had the title.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
He's
He's the
like I
first
said,
AEW champion.
So next thing I want to move on to is, so basically, as everyone knows, Roman Reigns is currently the double champion,
Mhm.
WWE Universal Champion, won both belts.
Mhm.
Well, he won the WWE Championship off Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Then recently, he's been getting onto the Usos case. He's been getting onto them, telling them, "Yo, you need to be double champs as well."
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, with all these unifications potentially going on,
Mm-hmm.
it's had people thinking, yo, what if they're ending the brand split? Roman
Yep.
Reigns is showing up on Raw and SmackDown sometimes. The Usos have done that recently. Okay, bro, the people involved in these title angles of doing these things.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, there's been quite a lot of speculation with all that. But I think maybe if you're going to be a Dave guy like myself, it's probably time to end that because, according to him in the newsletter, there is no plans to end the brand split as of now. Obviously, Vince being Vince, he could always change, but as of right now, there's no plans to end the brand split. Reportedly, um, I'll be honest, I was kind of hoping there would be. Um, not gonna lie, I like the whole feel of Roman Reigns showing up on Raw, and I don't think it'll be one of those things that will wear off when the novelty wears off because I just want to see the top stars on every show.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want it
You
all
only use
split up.
certain.
It's crazy.
The way I see it, Montel, like, the idea of a brand split is to double the amount of stars that you're able to make. Like that's why they first did it because they had such a stacked roster and they wanted to focus on everybody. But also the idea was, okay, now that we've lessened some of the established top guys on one brand, we can elevate some of these mid card guys and turn them into something. And ideally, the wealth is spread and you have more stars. But the WWE, their booking is in a way where like they're not really doing that. And so instead of creating more stars, you just are limiting the amount of people that fans care about on each show. And so, you have these Raws and these SmackDowns where like they're stretching themselves so thin, like because they release so many guys, and then there's already just a really small and limited amount of people that are relevant. It's such a short, small cast, and you're trying to stretch them out through 3 hours. It just doesn't work. And so they did a Raw. Like I haven't watched every single Raw this year, but they did a Raw. I think it was the go home to Mania, where like pretty much everybody was on the show. And like to me, I was like, this is way better. Like why not throw Roman Reigns on the same show with Seth Rollins and all these other guys? I think number one, it'll help them out during this time of the year when they're dealing with basketball. I think Roman Reigns' involvement will help mitigate some of the ratings loss on that end. But even outside of that, they don't have enough stars to sustain the amount of programming that they put on. So why not give me a Monday Night Raw that has Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns? I think because if not, and you already see it, you get really boring programming where like it's just the same people, and you're gonna run through the amount of matchup possibilities in a month. So that's kind of where I stand with that. I'm not against the idea of a brand split in general when it's executed the way that it's supposed to be, but they haven't done that. They haven't properly done a brand split where they're making stars and making the shows feel distinct and creating this competition between the shows. They haven't done that in a couple of years, So for me, I would end it. But what I think they're doing is just that the champions are going to be roaming show to show. So like the unified tag champs and Roman, because I'm assuming the Usos win, right? Meaning that Roman and the Bloodline are the guys who can be on both shows. Which again, that's not really that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. Having the alleged top act in a promotion be on both shows. You know what I'm saying? And it also segues to Cody Rhodes being able to set up his challenging with Roman and all that type of stuff. So that's fine. I think what I'm more curious about is this unified belt between what is it, the Universal Championship and the WWE title, right? Is that going to be defended as one belt, or is Roman defending both separately? Because people have been saying like, oh, Cody Rhodes is probably going to challenge and beat Roman, and I'm behind that idea. That's totally fine, right? That's probably going to happen. But also, like Drew McIntyre has been kept protected and warm now for a while, and there's a UK show coming up. You know what I'm saying? So like, is he gonna get a shot at Roman? Is he gonna challenge for a different belt? Like, how are we gonna do this?
I think they will split them up. To be honest, I think I could definitely see one. I definitely could see Roman only dropping one of them as well. I don't even think he'll necessarily drop both. He'll probably drop the WWE title to, I think, either Drew at the UK show or when's the UK show? September.
The very beginning of September. It's around the same time that AEW's show All Out is happening.
Yeah, aren't they like the
I
same
think they might put the belt on Cody soon, man.
Mhm.
Honestly, because it's all he talks about.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's
Like
like, you know,
all
it's
the
not like
promos are about the championship. Yeah.
I'm sure everyone there wants to be WWE champion, but they're not allowed to go on screen and talk about it for,
Yeah,
promo after
yeah,
promo, and people aren't allowed to use it against them promo after promo.
yeah.
Another thing that I think could be a possibility is that Roman drops the WWE title to Drew McIntyre at the UK show. Then, even though this would be a bit of a weird dynamic of face versus face, but Cody could then take the belt off Drew.
I don't.
It's just face versus face
I'd
dynamic.
rather Cody. I mean, that's not a bad match, but I'd rather Cody beat Roman
Yeah, that's what I want. I want Cody to come in from AEW and beat the top
and beat
guy
Roman Reigns.
because
Yeah,
it's just it's just a story. Like it's
yeah.
just
It's a bigger and it's a better story.
I think you guys are forgetting that it's a WWE and they can just also make another title.
That's the thing. They can easily. Oh my god, they can easily. Right? That's the thing. Like, man, because in the past when WWE would have undisputed titles, they always turned it into one belt. Like in 2002 when Triple H won the undisputed, they turned it into one belt. In what was it, 2014 when Brock had both belts, the World Heavyweight and the WWE, they turned it into one belt. And they could easily turn Romans into one belt and then just say, okay, on Raw we're doing a tournament for the vacant World Heavyweight Championship or some shit. So
yeah, Cody loves his old belt, so he can just bring back the Big Goldie.
I saw a tweet, guys, that actually was really cool. Like, Cody Rhodes was the one who brought back the 80s Intercontinental title when he won it in like 2011, 2012. It would be legitimately very cool if Cody Rhodes, when he wins the title, he brings back one of the old designs.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be cool.
Everyone wants them as well. So the Winged Eagle, Big Gold.
Yeah, WWE's belts look so bad.
I think it'd have to be the Winged Eagle though if you've done that.
Yeah, they went down that. Back to Winged Angel though. I think they're gonna keep that in the past.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, then what other WWE title would you really bring back?
It's weird because like WWE is so in love with their own history, but except for like titles and like
the stuff we actually like.
Yeah,
the SmackDown Feast. Fans have been calling for that back for like forever, bro. Decades.
We like the Fist. We like the old belt designs. We like some of the booking techniques that they did that actually worked and got people over. But like the stuff that they copy is like match layouts for big men in 1988. It's like that. That's what they want to emulate.
Like I know that they won like the big title. So when people win championships, everybody sees the big W. I would be shocked if they just make another big W title and just say this is. That's like
every belt. It's just a big W. I'll close with this though. Can we all agree that because they all want to do Roman and Rock at Mania next year, right? And Rock's, he's like, it seems like Rock's trying to set this up to happen. My question is, would you guys all agree that match does not need championships on the line?
No, it doesn't.
Like
it already has like the legacy.
We don't need titles for that because I'm every day on Twitter I'm seeing Roman Reigns is passing a new milestone with his title reign, like 500 days, 600 days, and I really don't want them to artificially extend this another year just to throw the title on the line against The Rock, even though we know Rock's not going to be there the next night, and just forcibly extend this reign when realistically this dude just beat Brock Lesnar. Like, it's like there's nobody left for him to really beat, and so the next major step really for Roman Reigns is to just start losing these belts.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you think WWE wishes that they can get rid of the Bruno reign?
Yes. Because they've been doing a lot of long title reigns this last decade. CM Punk had the long reign. Brock Lesnar had a long Universal reign. Roman Reigns is on a super long reign. But like they always have to say longest of the modern era. They can never say ever because Bruno had his shit for like 3-4 years. So
crazy.
It's insane. Yeah.
So the thing with having the title in that feud is you could probably draw some. You could probably draw some parallels to when The Rock came back and faced it. The difference there is that they were putting the belt on Rock. Do you know what I mean? If Rock and Roman face each other here, Roman's just going to beat him anyway. So we don't really need this to amplify the point. You really just don't need the belt in this feud if they do it. So it would be a shame, like you said, if they did drag this on for another year just so they could throw the title into the picture. I'd rather him lose it than win it back just before Mania. But
to me, it's just like, I don't really dislike or have a problem with Roman Reigns, but
neither do I.
he ran through everybody. It's like,
Mhm.
what to to extend this a year, it would literally be the definition of spinning your wheels. Like who is literally left? The only people left for him are Drew McIntyre and Cody. Anybody else, it's the definition of just filler. I saw that like the SmackDown after Mania. You had an angle with Nakamura. And I mean, look, I like Shinsuke Nakamura, and that match would have meant something like 4 years ago. But like right now, that doesn't feel like it even deserves to be on pay-per-view. Nor
they killed all his legitimacy.
Yeah, that doesn't feel like it needs to be on pay-per-view. Nor does anybody believe that Shinsuke has a chance to beat Roman Reigns. Like I said, this guy just beat Brock Lesnar. Why the fuck would he lose to Shinsuke Nakamura? So to me, it's like and that's what all the title defenses are going to feel like if it's against anybody not named Cody and or Drew McIntyre. It's just going to feel like this is filler.
And and now there's a rumor coming back that John Cena's coming back.
Yeah.
So we don't know if we're gonna run another John Cena Roman match, or we might get Cody John Cena.
I want Cody and Cena to happen at some point, because Cody Rhodes looks up to John Cena, and he clearly with a lot of his approach, he emulates John Cena. Like Cody Rhodes, he had a promo segment with The Miz 2 weeks ago, and this dude like literally is a hybrid between John Cena and early Sting. Just the way he fires at the crowd and carries himself, in this kind of classy, good guy type of way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just, and so I would like to see it. I'd like to see them go back and forth. You could do that they have a bunch of stadium shows coming up. There's a Money in the Bank in Allegiant Stadium, SummerSlam's in a big stadium, the UK shows in a stadium. That's 3 chances to do Cody Rhodes and John Cena.
Well, this is a big summer for wrestling. All
for
those
wrestling, yeah, man, dude, you have the New Japan Super Show in the United Center, in June. Money in the Bank is going to be in a stadium. AEW and All Out, and Double or Nothing. AEW and WWE are both going to hit the UK, and clearly that market is starved for wrestling, because I don't know if you guys heard, on the second day, the demand for tickets for the WWE UK show reached 120 people in line for registration for tickets, which is unreal, because in the United States, it's not like that. You know what I'm saying? WrestleMania didn't even sell out. So like that's just insane to me. So I wonder if it's just the novelty of it, or if this is just a gold mine, and more promotions are going to run over and see what they can do in the UK.
I feel like with the email sign up list as well, it's kind of like it's a cool number to tweet out and stuff like that. But me and my girlfriend signed up to that. I don't think I'm gonna go. I'm probably not going.
Was it one of those things where you just wanted to reserve it just in case if you felt?
Yeah, just in case. So you reserve just like you put your name on the email, because all it is an email list. It's just emails so you get early access. But it's not like you actually put a deposit down and get early, actually get early tickets.
Since you live in the UK, would you rather go to the WWE show or the AEW show?
For this year, if I have to do the UK show at Craven Cottage this year, like I'm 100% going to that. Because the thing is with the stadium show, number one, it's in Cardiff. It's not actually in England. It's in Cardiff, so it's in Wales.
Is that like a bit of a away from you?
It's where I am in England, not that bad, but it's still just it's another country, bro. It's like you going to Canada or some shit, but not as bad, because obviously it's a lot smaller over here. But yeah, man, like obviously if I'm going to that UK show, like it'll be amazing, like 70,000 people. Hopefully the atmosphere will be kicking, all that good stuff.
Bro, I'd imagine, because they just want to see wrestling. I'd imagine they'd be popping for the most just.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And obviously UK
that's what happens at the Saudi shows. At Saudi shows, like even just really average wrestling, like they're going crazy for it,
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I want to go see good wrestling. You know,
Yeah.
so you know, if I buy tickets as soon as the drop and the card's not announced, and they end up just doing like, I don't know, like if they just have Roman Reigns beat Drew McIntyre or something, or even just like Roman versus Drew isn't enough for me to leave the country, bro. Like it's just not. Whereas like AEW at Craven Cottage, they're first.
You know they're gonna
delivery,
stack that card
right?
up. You know they're gonna give you a good show.
I don't. It's not even so much the traveling, man. It's just got to be worth it, bro. And I'm not
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not 100% convinced the card will be, like I said, worth going to a next country for.
The best way I can explain this. Wait, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
The best way I can explain this, right? AEW and WWE were in the New York area a lot late last year, right? And every time AEW hit my area, whether it be New Jersey or New York, I made sure to secure tickets because I knew even though it was a TV show, they communicated to their audience through their television and programming that they put on that it's going to be worth it. They always, that an AEW TV show it's not just the regular, for the most part, the regular run-of-the-mill wrestling television. You're going to see at least one great match at this taping. There's going to be some important stuff. You're going to get a good angle, all that type of stuff. So yeah, it's worth me paying money for. And WWE hit my area for I think a Raw and a house show, right? And both times I had a chance to go, and I thought about it, but at the same time, it's like I know what Monday Night Raw looks like, right? So why would I pay to see Monday Night Raw in person, right? And so it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, I mean, I could go, and I'm sure it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but do I want to pay $200 to see like 3 DQ finishes? You know what I'm saying? And a count out. At least I know I'm paying half price for an AEW show where I'm going to get great matches. So that's just the bottom line there.
It's funny because I had SmackDown come to San Antonio.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know it was here until like the day of. And like my cousin hit me up and said, "Do you want to go to SmackDown?" I said, "Yeah, no, I'm good. I don't want to go to SmackDown because the following week I was going to AEW Winter's Coming.
Winter's Coming. Oh man, lucky.
And I saw Hangman Bryan won.
Yeah, I was gonna say that you got to see Bryan and Hangman, and that match was fantastic. You know what I will say, Montel? The funny thing is, there's of all the WWE shows I skipped in the New York area, there's one I regret not going to. The SmackDown and MSG, I want to say in September last year or October. That was a great episode of SmackDown.
Was that the one with Edge and Rollins?
That's the one with Edge and Rollins. Trey Young from the Atlanta Hawks showed up. And he showed up and he was messing with Sami Zayn.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, Brock got his first segment with Roman on TV, and there was a whole shit with Paul Heyman and the their whole dynamic. There was what else was on that show? Oh, we got the return of Demon Finn Balor on that episode. Bianca and Becky had their first little promo deal. That was probably the last great episode of WWE programming that they put on. And so I remember watching it, I was like, damn, this actually is a good show. Like I would have went to this.
It was sold out too, right? The last
it was a sold out episode. Big E declared he was going to cash in the Money in the Bank. There was a nice multi-man on the show with Cesaro and a couple other guys. It was a good episode. So
yeah, man. It's every once in a while they will
pull through. Right?
But like going to like the point of what he was making, just.
Mm-hmm.
I know what the shows look like, and even this UK show, I know they haven't been here and done a pay-per-view in 30 years, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest, it's probably just going to be like a Saudi show in terms of like the card and the results. I doubt they're going to be treating it like it's SummerSlam.
You don't think so? Because Dave's the one who's been saying like the big emphasis is like they're taking it like it's a canon show. So we got to see.
Yeah. You don't want to see any NXT UK stars in there or what?
Oh my god.
Toilet bait to beat Roman Reigns.
The funny thing is, bro, pre Bruce Pritchard, when Heyman was still in charge and all that shit, if that regime was still here, 100% you'd get Tyler Bate on that card. And like one of those good wrestlers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But now they probably look at those guys like schmucks. So it's like
It's a shame, man. It's a shame.
Yeah. They probably look at
a guy like Ash tweeted like, "Can we just hurry up and just get Tyler Bate on 2.0 so we can get on the main roster so they can fuck up with him so we can release him and just get him back out into the real world."
I don't want to wait till he's 35 to do this, bro. Like he's He's
still young as
he's
fuck,
25.
though, bro.
He's 25,
like, it's
dude.
crazy.
Bro, he's
Guy's like 25. He's been
Yeah.
really, really, really good for like 5 years.
At least 5 years. Yeah, bro, he's been a monster for a minute, and it's like he's not in best in the world conversations because he wrestles on a show nobody watches. So, you know.
And one thing I remember is the Elite burying them before they went to WWE too.
Did they?
Saying that they're gonna get like lost in the show. They're gonna not see him again.
Oh
he was
my
on
god,
one of like BT episodes.
that's crazy. Because like, bro, I mean, again, Tyler Bate's a monster. We all seen his match with Walter, bro. The saddest thing, and this is, I don't know, it's embarrassing to admit. It's actually more of an indictment on NXT UK, I'd imagine. The last Tyler Bate match I watched was his match against Jordan Devlin, and that was like, it was at a takeover, and that was like what, 2 years ago. You know, so I really haven't seen him
as Walter and that big dude. The
Coffee, I think his name is. Is it Joe Coffey?
I described a lot of UK wrestlers, but yeah.
Yeah, this is a big dude with like a fade.
Joe Coffey, isn't he?
He has a
big
beard.
Rondo.
It's
Isn't he apparently cancelled?
tattoos and
Someone in
shit.
the chat, please tell me if anyone knows. But I'm sure Joe Coffey is problematic.
You could, I mean, it's UK wrestling, right?
But it's, you know, it's the UK. And it's the
UK
UK.
wrestling.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying about the Brit Rest scene just dying. NXT UK, all these people getting cancelled because the sick fucks. Then like, we do have a couple gems from here, man. It's a shame. Yeah. We do have some gems still. Like I say, you Tyler Bates, man. Like, come on, I
guess what's semi good news is if anything, is the fact that the former Ben Carter, Nathan Frazier, I guess he solved his visa issues because he's going over to the United States to be in what's it called? To be in NXT 2.0. Yeah, so that's good news. Yeah, so that's good news in the sense that he's gonna get buried and fired, and so. That's so fucked up to say, but you know what it is. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how tall this kid is. I don't know how tall this kid is. I seen him on those AEW shows, and he was like a super worker. You know, I didn't know where the fuck he came from, but he just showed up and he was lighting it up. So, you know,
last good match.
Yeah. So I hope we get to see him again in the pro wrestling world. Or you know what? Who knows? Maybe WWE says, "Hey, he's trained by Seth Rollins. Let's give him a push."
Maybe.
Who knows?
Just, you know, they've shown us time and time again.
Still holding out hope for Roddy.
Yeah, so. bro, we just need him. We just need him free at this point. I think he's Roddy as well. He's just he's so good.
Yeah,
but then his promos, like they pop me. They just come off a certain way. They pop me. But
don't worry, I don't cold cut him for him.
Him and Pete Dunne are like really brutal on the mic, you know. But
Pete Dunne kills me because he sounds like me.
Well, I don't know. Like maybe in AEW, Roddy would be pretty good. Like I thought Fish was bad, and Fish is out here being like a freaking comedian every time he's on the mic or in front of a camera.
I never thought Bobby was a bad promo, but like Roddy it's like emoting and making human faces is kind of tougher. So. But he's a great wrestler, you know.
He's the best out of the four for me.
Yeah,
anyway.
bro, it's a testament to how good Roddy is that he's on 2.0, right? And he's working people who barely know what they're doing, and he's still having like really good matches.
Yeah, I know everyone throws it around a lot, but Roddy Strong is genuinely a wrestler that does not miss. Like he doesn't.
You
throw him in there with anyone.
He has Carmelo Hayes. He has Carmelo Hayes' best match.
I haven't seen it, but I remember Heyman going crazy for Roddy's match with Braun.
Yeah, Braun Breaker, bro. That was probably because I've been like watching Braun really closely. That's probably the peak of Braun's in-ring run because, well, besides, I'll take that back because he did have some good tags with Ciampa after, but like slowly what they're starting to do with Braun, once like Vince took notice of him and they decided like we're gonna bring him to the main roster, it's like once that happened and clearly like the bosses are paying attention, all of a sudden they're making him work these like 2006 John Cena matches where like he just has to sell for like 11 minutes and then he does like one comeback and then kind of fires up and then does his finishers. And like it's really fucking lame because like it takes away a lot of like what makes Braun naturally really cool. You know, whether it just be like his natural fire or like his power moves and shit like that. But the last time he got to do that type of just Braun Breaker stuff in the singles was against Roddy, and that match is really good.
It's a shame, man, because it's just. I hate when they do this shit, man. Like, especially with Braun,
square peg and round hole type stuff.
Yeah, like the Braun Breaker stuff is just, you know, obviously it's still very early days since Vince has got his hands on him, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, already, man,
on the main
roster. Like, that the match with Dolph at the pay-per-view show they did, Stand and Deliver, man, that was rough. That was rough. In terms of expectations, it wasn't bad. It was just rough in terms of expectations, because of the way they've done the match, and I feel like that was. I don't really feel like that was too much.
You know what I'll say? I thought the match was. I thought the match was solid, but yeah, right. I thought it was pretty solid, but you know, you can lay out a much better Dolph Ziggler Braun Breaker match, you know, and like I said, in NXT he was having better matches on TV before, you know, Vince and those dudes got their hands on him, because you know I made a joke about this, but I legit noticed this because I was watching 2.0 on the January 1st show. I think, what was it called, New Year's Evil? There was a match where it was MSK and Matt Riddle against Imperium, right? And I remember watching this and I was like, yo, they're like doing moves wrestling, you know, like moves with a Z wrestling, you know what I'm saying? That type of AEW trio shit, right? Mm-hmm. And I made a joke saying that like Vince is gonna watch the show and like come in and fire mad producers. Like I literally made a joke like Vince is gonna just get so mad at this match and like remind people what this show is supposed to be. And I kid you not, 2 fucking days later is when they cut all those coaches and stuff. Remember when they cut like Regal and Joe and all these dudes? And they got all those dudes got cut, and then like within weeks, like we're back to like headlock merchantry. Like
we never saw Riddle again, right? On NXT.
We didn't see Riddle again. They took MSK stopped wrestling for like a month. We were back to like headlock matches and shit, and yeah, like it's hilarious because clearly Sean and crew are just trying to like, you know, get this shit more like just regular modern wrestling, right? And like it was getting pretty good. And then, you know, Vince and the boys up top were like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You know,
the old boys. The old boys got involved, man.
That's what I'm saying. Rough, another example of this, dude, Tony D'Angelo, he wrestled Pete Dunne, right? And he started doing like random, just like Japanese style suplexes, right? Like he was doing all these random suplexes and shit, like high angle, you know, backdrop drivers and stuff like that. And then within 2 weeks, he just went back to like just punching people for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and headlocks and all that shit. It's crazy how quick it happens, man, because you get fired up about one of these prospects.
Yeah.
Like, bro, as soon as I saw, I can't remember what show it was. It might have been Standard Deliver. I'm not sure. But when I seen Braun Breaker come into the ring, grinning, like fully like smiling ear to ear, I was like,
no, it was on Raw. Yo, it was funny because I was at work, right? And I remember you tagged me like, oh, Hangman's gonna have a bad night. I get home and I don't, again, like until like recently, I only started paying attention to Raw again because Cody's on. But before that, I wasn't really paying much attention to Raw late last year. I only checked that show out for Braun. And when you tagged me and said that, I was like, what the fuck did they do? And he has a backstage promo, and they're like, oh, we're here with NXT's Braun Breaker. And this man like unnaturally walks in and for the viewers who don't pay attention to NXT 2.0, which I would imagine is a lot of people, Braun is a very naturally pissed off and surly dude, right? Yeah, and so like a Steiner, right? Yeah, and so this dude walked in on Raw and he has a big grin in his face. And I'm like, what is happening? And he's just like, I'm fired to be on Raw. Woo! It was like, wait, what?
So the hell happened? And that's when they told him not to smile anymore, right? Or they told him to smile more?
What happened was he did an interview, and they were like, what did you learn going on the main roster? And he said, yeah, they told me to smile. And he said it was kind of weird because I'm not naturally like that. So I'm trying to figure out how to smile and make it not weird. Like,
moving on.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say not huge. Well, depends how you take it. To me, it's not that much of a surprise, but according to the newsletter again, at this point, Stardom's not part of the Forbidden Door AEW New Japan pay-per-view. For me anyway, I wasn't really expecting this, but I would have definitely popped for it if they did it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really expecting it for this first show anyway. I hope they do move to something like that in the future, and we get some of these Stardom women mixing it up with some of the at least some of the better AEW women.
Like Britt Baker and Rebel. You know.
Oh, come on. You're just trying to get people upset now.
My man, he
my brain just started. I don't know.
Yeah, he just started. He just
shut down, bro.
The one thing that
the worst thing is about Baker as well. Actually, I don't find her actively bad.
No.
So it's like, I don't know, man. I actually think she's pretty good, but it's just it's just where she is and does she.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough of that.
I always tell the story though with Britt though. Like I always hated Britt, or not hate. Like hate strong, like a strong word, but I didn't like her. Then once the first time I ever saw her come out on stage, I was like, oh shit, man, she's a star. And then
when you're
and then I started doing the DMD thing too. I was like,
yeah. Listen, man, when you're watching wrestling live in person, that shit is different, man. I sung Judas like a fraud when I was in person, man. I can't lie. I was singing Judas.
I'm going to next month. I'm going to watch Suzuki versus Will Ospreay.
Yeah.
From the things that people say about Ospreay, and like he's athletic talent, just for starters. And especially the way Dave talks about him, it's just. I feel like seeing him in person is going to be
change your
different thing. Same with Suzuki as well. As soon as he comes up, because I've never seen Suzuki before, so I'm definitely looking forward to that.
You know what wrestler in person? You know what wrestler seeing in person really felt like? Yo, this dude has fucking clout. Sting. When I saw Sting in person, that shit felt like just crazy, bro. Like it's hard to explain. But I was at Arthur Ashe, and when this dude tagged in against FTR, it was just like, yo, like this is fucking Sting, bro. Like this dude is like the biggest dude in this match. Like you really, when they say wrestlers have aura, like that shit is real.
Yeah. For real, bro.
I was there for Sting's first TNT match, and they put him to the table and he no-sold it. I got up from my seat and I was banging my chest too. I was ready to go.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying.
Some people just have it. It's that presence, that physical.
100%.
It's like it's like when Samoa Joe walked out on his was it his Dynamite debut?
Yeah.
Bro, that's something special. Like you can't teach that. Like,
people saying he's washed? No way.
You gotta walk with purpose and walk. Listen, wrestling is about walking out with purpose and acting like you are somebody. You know what I'm saying? Some wrestlers, you could tell like when they're early, they're not comfortable in their own skin, and you see it when they come out. And there's other dudes who like they walk out and they know they're the shit, and just projecting that out tells to the audience like, yo, this dude is the shit. And Samoa Joe's no different. Britt Baker, for all you could say about Britt Baker from a wrestling standpoint or whatever, she carries herself like she thinks she's a big deal. You know what I mean? And part of wrestling is faking it till you make it.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to quickly bring this up, because right. So Stardom does have a pay-per-view on the same day as the Forbidden Door pay-per-view, allegedly. I haven't actually confirmed this myself, but I would believe anyone who's told me. I'm sure no one would lie about it. But anyway. One of my friends mentioned to me, like, that doesn't mean that they can't send some talent over. You don't book the whole roster on a on a pay-per-view. So I get it, but same way. They could still send some people over if they wanted to. But like I said, I wasn't really expecting it anyway, so it's not like it's crushed my hopes and dreams. And then
I think people are blowing that thing out of proportion. Obviously, I think they're going to have a women's match on the show. I think people are just going crazy about it. And if anything, it's going to get a lot of people mad, but I think the only women's match you might see is going to be on the pre-show, if anything.
I don't know if it's hard to get them involved when it's so this kind of segues into the next bit. So the next update about the AEW New Japan card is that apparently they're looking to go full throttle with it. We're not going to get this. I think the wording was the matches are expected to be AEW versus New Japan, and it won't be like the Ring of Honor New Japan Madison Square Garden show where it was more like, just AEW, no, Ring of Honor matches and New Japan matches just on the same card. It probably won't be like the New Japan Noah card either, where there's a lot of tag matches. So yeah, man. Apparently, we are going to be getting these dream matches. So let's go, man. I've seen a lot of people say a card of Punk. It's just, bro.
Yeah,
that's one of those matches that it's straight out of a lot of fans' fantasy booking, and it's just, I won't believe it until I see it.
Like, I was
one of those real matches, because it's like it just is, man. Okada and Punk, like, it's just crazy. It's a crazy.
I was listening to Voices of Wrestling. They do like a Dynamite review show, and Lanza, I think it was Lanza. Like, they're the ones that they're on the ones that broke the news and about the show, and they were saying that they already have the main event planned. It's like Punk and Okada. That's what both sides want, and that's what they're talking about. But the only thing is they don't know
the biggest match you can put on.
How do you do the finish though?
Yeah, that's the thing. That they're just trying
to. It depends on who wins between Punk and Hangman.
Bro, Okada's not losing, man.
No, because Okada has 2 title defenses beforehand, and because he has Naito and he has the Dominion, and then obviously Punk has Hangman. And honestly, I can actually see Punk just losing to Hangman, losing to Okada, and that can play into him turning heel. But it's all up to Tony at the end, at the end of the day.
You could do that. You could do Punk passing out in the money clip, even though that's kind of whatever. But, yeah, it's kind of
Rainmakers, bro.
Yeah. I mean, Punk could be kicking out of them things, man.
Bro, this is but I was saying it. I think it was to Joe either yesterday or the other day. Like, Okada's not losing to anyone from AEW. I don't think that's not named Kenny Omega.
It's not named Kenny Omega.
Even then, I'm not entirely convinced, but you could maybe sell me on it. But I don't see them sending Okada over to get beat by anyone. But it's not even anyone. Obviously, Punk is far from anyone. But
yeah,
Okada's like, he's there.
And
it's not as convinced to send Cena over to get beat somewhere like 10 years ago. That's
like John Cena, exactly.
But that's how precious he is to them.
100%.
And Tony's a big wrestling fan, like all of us. So
yeah,
he's seen all these big super shows and them always be tags and multi-man matches.
Yeah,
he's want to do that.
It's funny, man. And for those who don't know, like, if you just go back in history when it comes to joint shows and super shows in the history of the business, like the recent model is to do tags, right? Because you want to have a fall guy. But in the past, what they would do, like in the 80s and stuff, is they would put the big stars against the other big stars. You know what they do in the finish? Countouts and DQs. Like in the 80s, there was a show where Jumbo Tsuruta and Masa Saito, they main evented a show wrestling. It was Riki Choshu and Masa Saito from New Japan, and they were wrestling Tenryu and Jumbo, and it was a really good match. And it just ended with them fighting on the outside. It was a countout. Like, that's just what they did because nobody was eating a pin. Like, that shit was just commonplace. So, I would hope that we're now in an era where we can just put on really good singles matches and not have to do that type of political stuff. But, we'll see.
If you look at it, like, if you just look at the Capitol Riot show that's happening,
yeah,
you have three AEW guys versus 3 New Japan guys. You have it's Tanahashi and Moxley, Suzuki, Brody King, and then Ishii, Kingston.
Yeah. Well, so the thing about it, Manny, is like Minoru Suzuki and Ishii are like reliable dudes because they're veterans who always have really good matches with people, and you can throw them in dream matches. And New Japan has no issue beating Ishii or Suzuki.
Yeah.
Like, those dudes just eat pins, and it's like not really.
Especially Suzuki, bro. Like,
Suzuki is a.
How many pins has that guy ate in April alone?
Like, his job is to just show up, be Suzuki, play Suzuki, elbow people, and lose. And it's funny, like
Fine.
he's Teflon, bro. He really, that shit does not affect him. Like he just people still just see him as Suzuki. It doesn't really matter. You know?
It's crazy as well because he's seen as this like old but dangerous and
this dangerous badass.
Well, it's only recently, like I said, just in April he's lost however many times he's lost, because it felt like he lost a few times over Mania weekend.
Yeah,
he's been in the States as well, so it's like he's not racking up wins in a minute.
If he's not facing, if he's facing a big star, he's probably gonna lose. Like that's kind of what just happens.
So I was popping myself at the chat.
Yeah, what happened? I'm not even seeing the chat. So like,
if you get your cursor and move over to the side and click on comments, it's all the YouTube comments. But yeah, they were just being clowns during.
Were they just trolling and shit?
They were fantasy booking women's matches for the AEW show. I don't know if any one of them was serious. But, someone did ask a good question though. If there was a women's match on that card, what would you want it to be? It would have to be an AEW title match, wouldn't it? It would have to be a women's title.
Wait. With what promotions? Just AEW?
Hey, my assumption is if they do put the women on the card, it's just going to be an AEW women's match on the card. I don't think they're going to. I genuinely don't. I think Stardom's going to have like zero involvement.
Give me Shida and Thunder Rosa.
You can ask Tokyo Joshi Pro, but I don't know if New Japan's going to want a rival
that's what I mean.
on the show.
It's a bit messy because you could probably just get like Maki or someone in.
I would just try to put on a women's match that like gives you the best chance of it being really good from a work rate standpoint.
Yeah, I wouldn't do like a singles match because I feel like people would get mad because there's only 2 women on the show. I would try to do like a 6 woman tag or like an 8 woman tag. You know, just put like the 8 best workers in the division and put them against each other.
What's gonna happen, Manny? If you do that only, there's going to be complaints regardless. You're probably going to have to do a multi-person tag and a title match, to be honest. Because if not, they're just going to say, oh, you threw all the women in one match just to be a sideshow before going right back to the men's stuff.
I want them to do it anyway, though, to be honest. It's not even so much to appease to a certain audience, because a lot of them are bad faithers, and there is valid points in it, you know what I mean? Like, I'd love to see Thunder Rosa get a moment in a big stadium. Like that,
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I wrote a thread about the women's division, so 100%.
So I was going to save this to the end of the show, but tomorrow, on the 3rd episode of the Wrestlepurists Podcast, I'm going to be.
You are pumping these things out, man. You're like WWE, man. Like it's just like it's just
man. Like I gotta see what works, what doesn't work. Stuff. So tomorrow I'm going to be going live with Lovely and Jay Shell, and we're going to have
Jay Shell.
We're going to try to have an open, honest, good faith conversation about the state of women's wrestling in the United States at the moment. So I'm sure that'll go. That'll be fine.
You want that to get real? Put Keem in that podcast,
bro. Some people are vicious, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll be tuning in, to be honest. But like I said, we're going to try to be honest about it, though. We're not just going to be like, oh, well, the women should be in the main event of every single show. It's not going to be.
Yeah. For sure.
An honest conversation, because like I said, there's a lot of people who are, people call them the stopwatch people. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who are doing it, I feel anyway, and I'm just a man, so who cares what I think? But there's a lot of people who are doing that. Then on the other hand, there's a lot of people who are going too much the other way, and they're just like, they're applauding.
We want realistic matches.
So like I mentioned it on the show yesterday. So I think it was like the week after the whole Thunder Rosa first time with the title, Nyla Rose interruption segment, when there was a lot of heat on AEW regarding the women. But like the week after that, AEW put like 5 women's segments on the show. But other than like a Ruby Soho match, which was one of them, those segments came to like 2 or 3 minutes between all of them. And I come on the timeline the next day, and AEW fans, like some AEW fans anyway, the ones that I'm talking about here, are like putting up like screenshots of all the graphics from the show that from last night, saying, see, you know what I mean? Tony Khan does care about AEW women's division, and it's just like, nah, bro.
The women's wrestling.
I'm not saying he doesn't care anyway, but it's just like that isn't proof of it. Like those when like the stopwatch fans are on both sides. Do you know what I mean? Except for some people are timing the matches, and some people are like counting every little 20-second segment and counting it as something. But yeah, like I said, that's tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to try have an honest conversation with two women that I respect and big fans of, if anything.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how many people are like listen to the late night grin. I know that you were on there the other day or last week. They had a serious conversation about like 2 weeks ago. Jay Shell and Joe and Oracle. They had a serious conversation about like 2 weeks ago. So I recommend everybody go listen to it.
Yeah, definitely. Like those three people I'll always put over, except for Joe. But, yeah, man. Like
somebody tweeted that.
It's kind of a hot topic at the moment, and it's like I said, there is an honest conversation there to be had, but there is a lot of bad faith takes, and there is a lot of people like bootlicking. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think women's discourse, on Twitter is kind of a mess, like on every side, to be honest, because like there's people who get defensive about it. There's people who are unrealistic about it and unreasonable about it. Some people who don't want to recognize where efforts are made. Some people who want to just bootlick and act like there's no problem. So it's just a mess. You know what I'm saying? But I wanted to toss out. Someone tweeted out that my camera's off because I'm really CM Punk.
Yeah, obviously. I was waiting for that. I think someone already said it.
Yeah, I'm surprised it took 50 minutes for someone to get that joke out.
57 in it.
Yeah. Some of you on the comments, man. Some of your fantasy bookings for these women's shows, for these matches. You guys need some help. That's what I'm gonna say.
I feel like the chat is either genuinely or ironically huge fans of Ali Catch. Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on here. We haven't mentioned her. She isn't in AEW.
She's a GCW person.
Yeah. So anyway, enough of Ali Catch. So I kind of want to do like a quick little scan through like the Observer News. Obviously, we've talked about some of the news coming from there, but so match of the week was, as voted by one readers, was Ospreay versus Mox, and performer of the week was also Ospreay. So what did you think of the Ospreay and Mox match, including the finish? I'll start with you, Manny.
I saw it last night. It was awesome. I got like my favorite part of the match was Mox hitting the paradigm shift and then Ospreay no selling it for a second and then hitting him with the Stormbreaker. Not the Stormbreaker. Is that what he calls his elbow? Or
hidden blade.
Hidden blade right there. And then they both they were both down for the count. That was awesome. The finish was whatever. I mean, people said it took him out of the match. It didn't really take me because they said that ruined the match for him. I don't know how people say that about like if a match, like the ending of a match ruined it, they ruined the whole match. To me, the whole match.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Yeah, and you're.
Okay. How people can say, "Oh, it ruined the match a little bit for me," but when they say it took me out of the match, like, what do you mean it took you out of the match? The match finished. So yeah, it's one of those. Apparently, it was a genuine mistake. Like that wasn't meant to happen. And when John Moxley got up and looked pissed and just hit the paradigm shift on the referee, that was just him just trying to pop the crowd to give him something. Apparently, so yeah, man, it was a solid match. And John Moxley lately, since he's came back,
he's on a roll.
He's been operating what feels like, in ring at least, the best I've seen him. Honestly, he hasn't missed, man. Like even the first match with Ethan Page, like he was going for it, man. Like he was going out there to try and have. And that's not anything against Ethan Page. I'm a big Ethan Page fan, but it was his first match back, and it was a match everyone knew he was going to win against someone who isn't at the moment a top guy. Like a lot of people may have thought he was just going to go in there and squash him or something, but nah, he went out there, he gave him some, and yeah, like I said, and he's carried that through to like every single match. And when you throw him in there with an Ospreay, you're gonna get magic. And obviously, even Wheeler Yuta, man, I've seen people saying that's their match of the year. So he's operating on a different level right now, man. I've seen a couple of people talk about him building a case for Wrestler of the Year, which at the rate he's going at, I'm not mad at it.
I tweeted the other day that I said Mox is wrestling like he's gonna retire at the end of the year. That's how he's wrestling.
He's going for it, bro.
He's going hard,
for
man.
it.
He's going, yeah, for sure.
He's going for it.
He's and this is crazy to say. He's probably having a better year than Bryan Danielson, and Bryan Danielson's great every time he goes out there.
Well,
You know?
he hasn't wrestled a lot. He hasn't wrestled a lot since that second Hangman match.
It's just kind of like him being really good in tag matches.
Yeah, I think those matches took a lot out of him. Like since he hasn't had matches like that in a while, I think he's just trying to calm down after that.
Yeah,
he was going full throttle for like second half of 2021. He was going crazy.
What I find funny about Bryan Danielson is he's such a monster that him kind of just taking it easy and just kind of like, you know, just kind of clocking in for his shift, so to speak, when it comes to these tag matches. Even that, the baseline is like pretty great.
Yeah, his floor is like, top 10 worker in the world.
Yeah, that's what he's saying, bro. He's popping in these tag matches and just kick and chop people, and it's like amazing.
Yeah, literally, he's just the way he just operates at a different level, man.
He sleepwalks into great matches.
I feel like it's hard. I feel like sometimes when we go back and watch someone like a Bret, or even like now when you watch an Okada or Tanahashi, it's a lot easier to put your finger on it with what makes them special. Like, Bryan Danielson's he's a phenomenal worker, but it's like you can't even really explain. Like, if you want to truly try and explain it to someone else who who's also a big fan of him and knows the basics, it's hard to like put your finger on like just why he's so.
The thing about Danielson is he's a master of. He's just a master of exploiting all kind of meaning out of every second of what he's doing, if that makes any sense. Like, it feels like everything he does matters and is relevant to the match. And not only that, he has a perfect handle on pace. You can watch the 8-minute Bryan Danielson match that feels like you watched just a 20-minute classic, because he's just, the way he lays it out and just paces himself. Like, you feel like you just watched some real shit. None of his matches just, like, you don't feel cheated when you watch him. Like, he just, and so, like, it's like, not to Dickie, but like anytime he's on the screen to wrestle, whether it's just 5 minutes or 25, you feel like he just blessed you. Like, you feel like he just blessed you, dog.
That's the sort of terminology that like nerds like us use for Bryan Danielson, though. Like, we call him a master, a wizard. We don't just say, "Oh, he's great, he's good." Like, we try find these other ways of trying to describe what he does, man. Because it's like I said, he's. If someone said to me they thought he was the best wrestler of all time, like, I'd have a tough time. I wouldn't
argue with him. Dog, the Wheeler Yuta match is 11 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
What? Yes, I'll verify right now. But that
no, it's not.
Let me double check that. Wheeler Yuta versus.
I wouldn't be shocked if Bryan Danielson and Mox are in the G1 this year, because.
I feel like Danielson, man. I feel like that would be my personal highlight of the entire year. Probably if we got Bryan Danielson in the G1.
Okay. Yo, Montel, so my correction, it wasn't 11 minutes. My apology. It was 10 minutes.
Fuck. Yo. Yeah, he's upset, man. I was going to say, I thought you were going to be like, I was wrong. It was 17 or something.
No, it was 10 fucking minutes. He's a master, dog. He is like, bro, like, there's very few people ever that touch this guy. And the best thing about it, here's an easy example. He was so great early last year on his SmackDown run, feuding with Roman Reigns, right? And this dude is retroactively in podcasts talking about how he felt absolutely nothing. Which means he was sleepwalking into the best stuff Roman Reigns has done in his entire life.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah, like I said, just
Brian
him going through the motions.
He's bored. He's wrestling Roman Reigns bored. And this shit is crazy.
Yeah, bro. Look, his floor is genuinely like great. His floor, like I said, his floor, like it was said in the comments, like I've said, his floor is genuinely like top 10.
Can you put Rob's comment up?
Which one?
It says, what do you guys think about him going back to WWE rumor?
Mox.
Who, Mox?
I think he's talking about Danielson.
Oh, I do think Danielson's going to eventually go back, but this Mox story is weird.
I don't even know if he'll wrestle in WWE again. Like, I feel like
you know,
they'd probably happily have him after retirement. To be
my
honest.
my prediction before you go, Manny, is that he's gonna get all this wrestling out of his system. You know, he has 2 more years to do Japan and elbow the shit out of people and go crazy and have all these
Bleed.
bleed and have all these life life or death matches. And if that's when he deems he had his fill, then I could see him maybe being like, all right, I'll settle down and go back to the promotion that my wife is connected to and just, have a Legends contract and do the Hall of Fame deal and maybe wrestle one more time at WrestleMania or something like
Well,
that.
I,
But,
I,
but,
I
but
don't.
my general presumption is I think I don't think he's going back to WWE. If he ever does, I don't think it's for an extended run. I think it's just to put a bow on it. I think
Yeah.
his last extended run is this pro wrestling run he's doing with AEW.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
if it's Danielson, I don't think Danielson or Mox are gonna wrestle again in WWE, but I think they might go back for like the Hall of Fame.
That's what I'm saying.
But
Yeah.
but I think Danielson though is not gonna go back full time. I think he's gonna stay with AEW because did you hear how excited he got about the thought of running and creating ideas for Ring of Honor?
No, I didn't even see that.
Yeah, I think it was Tony. No, I think it was Danielson. He was talking in an interview, and I think Tony only told Danielson about that he was buying Ring of Honor. And then he said,
Oh
later
yeah,
that
yeah, I
night,
did hear about that. Yeah.
then later that night, he came up with all these ideas and started pitching stuff and what
he's a
direction
nerd,
Ring of
man.
Honor should go.
Yeah.
He's just like us. He's a nerd, man.
I mean, look, that at the end of the day, Brian's having a lot of fun, clearly, right? And what he's doing right now excites him.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine he's going to keep doing it as long as it excites him. And then once he's kind of over it, however long that takes, whether it's another year or 2 years, again, I think that's when he's just going to be like, all right, I'm done. And then, like I said, I don't see WWE being like a thing where he's wrestling on SmackDown every week. I think that's just a thing where it's just like he's attached to them under a Legends contract. He shows up on the reunion shows. He does the Hall of Fame, that type of thing.
Well,
As for John Moxley, as for John Moxley, like I don't. Maybe I'm misreading Mox, but the Mox that I see and read about, I do not see this guy being able to just mentally stand working week to week WWE television. Like absolutely not. I just can't. He, like Bryan Danielson is vocally pro Vince McMahon, but John Moxley, like this is a dude who like the creative process of WWE makes this guy sick. You know what I'm saying? Like this dude, he doesn't like the scripts. He doesn't like just the soft nature of how they do things. Like I can't see him at all being like, yeah, all right, so what's my script today? And just kind of going through all that.
Yeah, it's not happening, man. No,
I don't see it. I don't see it.
Just not happening.
Yeah, I don't see it with Mox or FTR or any of these guys. I just.
So
yeah, that FTR story is hilarious.
So yeah, apparently, talking of Moxley and Danielson, apparently there was talks of Daniel Garcia being introduced to the group, but that didn't happen because Jericho personally picked him out himself and said, I want him with me. I want him in Jericho Appreciation Society. And to be honest, I think for the development that most fans would say that he needs, this is probably better for his development because it will help him a lot more with character work. I think even he said himself in an interview, but he don't really need to learn how to wrestle. And like, the Blackpool Combat Club is like a wrestlers wrestle group. Do you know what I mean? You don't need Regal and Danielson showing him how to do wrist locks and shit.
It's funny you say that because like, Garcia, Moriarty, and Wheeler Yuta, like they're commonly linked together, right? And I think all three of them are really good wrestlers. But what I will say is, from an in-ring standpoint, I thought Garcia was always ahead of the other two and more advanced in this way. I think Daniel Garcia pretty quickly showed that he has a handle on TV wrestling. Because they threw him, like, if you remember, like his first stuff on AEW programming was like in party tag matches, but not even just that. Like he's in tags against like Darby and Mox and Kingston and stuff, and he was just like, it's like he was TV ready, and I think he had a really good handle on just being like, that aggressive punk type of wrestler. But what I'm getting at with this is, from in ring, I think Garcia is already one of the better wrestlers in the world. And he has a handle on like what he's doing from a wrestling standpoint. Like you said, like where he needs to catch up is you know, the crowds in AEW, they didn't like look at him as a TV star the way they did some other guys, and so like some of his matches didn't have as much heat as they probably could, and so pairing him with Jericho and having him come into his own from that standpoint, like yeah, it kind of catches him up, and he himself invoked the name of Eddie Guerrero because he said like you can be a great wrestler and a sports entertainer. Look at Eddie Guerrero, who was a serious worker, but he became an entertainer. And when you look at Eddie himself, like Eddie Guerrero, his in-ring peak was like 95, but at that time he couldn't even cut a promo. Eddie Guerrero later in his career kind of came into his own as a performer and a star, and his in-ring didn't really suffer because of it. So yeah, Daniel Garcia, I would like to eventually see him kind of do some stuff with Danielson and that kind of thing. But for the time being, him being in the Jericho Appreciation Society, it's good for him.
Yeah, I think the same.
I'm pretty sure Danielson's working with Garcia and these three guys like before the shows and stuff. It seems like he's like a big coach backstage already. But yeah, if you look at it, Garcia, he wasn't getting like the reactions that everybody out of the three were getting. But during the matches, they would slowly build upon him cheering for him or booing him. That's what I noticed. And then if you look at Lee Moriarty, he was just a fan favorite right away.
Yeah.
And then Yuta was getting no reactions.
Yeah.
And now Yuta's the biggest out of all of them. And Lee Moriarty's still getting big reactions. Now it's just Garcia that wasn't getting anything. So this with Jericho is going to help him big time, like it helped Sammy.
Bro, because here's the thing. Like pretty early on, I kind of said, like I prefer those three guys. I prefer watching them wrestle over at least half of the supposed pillars of AEW. But at the end of the day, regardless of my preference, the AEW audience, TV and in the crowds, they see the pillars as stars more than those three. Those guys get like Jungle Boy is over. Darby Allin is over. MJF
I don't know about Jungle Boy. I don't know. I think
he's over. He's over.
I think his entrance is over. I mean, I don't know.
That Kyle O'Reilly match just took him out of it, bro.
Oh yeah. I'm not gonna get into that. But like the general, the general point is the fans see those guys as stars because they've been there from the beginning, and AEW's done a really good job with them from generally speaking when it comes to just making them, names to the wrestling audience, right? And so they're more further along in that standpoint as TV stars than these quote unquote killers, right? And so what's happening right now is essentially the killers being caught up to that level. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. It's,
ultimately, it'll lead to matches with Garcia where, yeah.
So I think we might as well talk about it. I said I wanted to talk about it in DMs on the timeline. Let's this could get ugly, but let's talk about Sammy Guevara. What he's doing at the moment.
Oh boy.
He's just turned heel. He's the new TNT champion for the third time. He's dressing different. He's taking shots at the crowd now. It's definitely something, man. So I'll start with you again, Manny. Like, where are you at? Where are you at with Sammy Guevara? What do you think of him now? What do you think of his booking? And what do you think he should be doing?
Well, I think he should be playing heel like the way he's doing now because he doesn't have like a likable face or anything like that. But the only thing likable about Sammy is just the way he wrestles. And I was listening to like a podcast, I forgot which one it was. Like, see, they point out he's a heel now because look at the jacket he's wearing. And I was like, so he puts on a little fur jacket and he's a heel. And like then he starts cutting that promo and making out with Tay. And I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's just so weird because everybody's just so one-sided with the hate. I'm like so indifferent to me. At this point, I feel it's parody.
It's not coming off quite that amazing right now, to be honest.
Yeah.
But like, go to the point you said, like, as soon as he came out wearing the jacket and out there with Tay, it's like I knew what they were gonna try and do, and I don't know. It is a Guevara, man. Like, there is definitely some good qualities that he has, But it's just like throwing him out there to do an in-ring promo, probably live, probably isn't, that's not where he's strongest. You know what I mean? Like when I look at Sammy Guevara, he is a phenomenal match guy. Like he will do the amazing spots. Like he will try kill himself to get a pop. But he will do those things. Obviously, he's a fantastic athlete as well, etc., etc., etc. But it's this new character thing that he's doing now is just kind of. He does have a lot of like heelish characteristics as like him as a person, but when he's trying to translate that into a heel character, obviously it's very early days, so I'm just talking rubbish right now. But
he just seems like a guy that you knew in high school that never grew up, and like if you ever see him at the bar,
yeah,
he's trying to tell you about the glory days of you being in high school and showing you like the highlights of what they were doing. That's like what it reminds me of.
He's a weird one, man, because he's just like he's just like I said, he has. I feel like against this conclusion earlier, I was just really wrestling with this. I feel like the things that he has about him that's dislikable to a lot of the fans, he hasn't clocked on entirely to what those things are, and what he's trying to do doesn't amplify what we don't like about him. Like, yeah, it's very easy for him to go out there and say, "Oh, my girlfriend's hotter than yours." Maybe he's just thinking like, "Oh, I've got with Tay Conte, and all these wrestling fans have got jealous," or something. Like he might genuinely think that.
Is that what happened? That's what I know. That's what happened to me. Like, that's what I've noticed. He made his relationship with Tay public, and that's when people started to turn on him. And I guess it's because Tay's wrestles like him now too, which is kind of like annoying.
Yeah, and I think it's obviously the way that they act too. It's the way that they act on social. It's not so much that he's with Tay Conte. It's just, like I said, it's like some teenage love relationship they've got going on.
Yeah.
And I'm not anyone to talk on anyone's relationship. I hope both of them are happy, But also there's the whole thing with him is like even on screen before he started linking up with Tay, it's just like he did have his people, but he did have his haters already. And he just, I feel like the whole TNT Championship reign just, it didn't help him. I don't think, except for the ladder match with Cody, of course. Like having a match that good is always going to be like good for you because people will remember it. But him going on that TNT title reign, it was good until it wasn't, and then it kind of felt like, all right, it's probably time for Sammy to drop the belt, and then he did, and then he won it back. But it was it was a great match or whatever. But then, then
a weird case study for this is like, okay, I don't know how to like word it right. So like, okay, we all know Jay Lethal is like a piece of shit, right? We all know that he's bad, but the crowd loves him, and he's out there in Dynamite having all these bangers and stuff like that. But then, for some reason, I feel like the audience is not paying any attention to what Lethal did, but they're giving everything that Sammy said. They're giving it to him. Like, if you notice, like they're booing him, and they're putting all his online baggage of all the stuff that he said about Miley Cyrus and Sasha and all that. They're bringing it all to him, and they're actually using that as heat for him and why they don't want him on TV anymore. And you can see that too. Like the crowds, for some reason, I feel like are more known of what he's saying and stuff like that. So
I think and sorry, I was kind of sleeping for a little bit because you guys were talking about Sammy Guevara, but I was able to kind of come to. So for me, I don't know if it's that many, but if it's hold on, I don't know if it's that or if it's a case of that's just an excuse to feel how people like want to feel about him, because I think he's just a naturally unlikable guy in general.
Yeah.
I think he's just naturally unlikable. So it's like people are just trying to find ways to confirm their dislike of Sammy.
Yeah, I don't know the rumors and stuff because I don't really, like I said, I got into wrestling back into like around 17, 18. Like Sammy was already off the indies and stuff like that. But there's like a lot of like stories of him being like a horrible person on the Texas Indies and stuff like that.
Oh my God.
So I don't really Like, so I don't really know if Sammy's really like that in person. I guess he is like that in person, like all the evidence that we've seen. But so like I said, this is like a touchy subject because I don't really know where. Like it is. It's parody. Like I said, it's parody at this point. Like same thing with like Adam Cole stuff. It's all parody. I don't know. It's like
my general take on all this stuff, man, is just quite frankly, I know I've seen people tweet like, oh, people are just turning on Sammy because of the tie thing or this or that, and it's like, bro, I haven't thought much of this guy's work like ever, to be honest with you. I first actually watched him on like an online Impact show in 2017, which the fact that I was watching. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'm sorry for myself. I was watching like Impact Explosion or some shit, and he was like just the most schmucky of the guys in like this multi-man match. But I mean, he was a good athlete. But the general point is, I was never particularly high on him. And I remember when they booked Cody versus Sammy Guevara on the first Dynamite, I was like, oh, that's kind of a lame match. But he came out there and he's trying to be a babyface, and I remember saying, like, this guy is not a babyface. He has a really stupid haircut and a dumb like panda thing on his head. Like he just his whole look irritates me. I naturally was inclined to just not like him. And so when they put him in the Inner Circle, like, it made sense to me. And like that was the best Sammy we got, because like he just got to be a douchey dude in a stable with Chris Jericho.
And people started liking him.
Yeah, it worked. It totally worked in that role. Yeah, but then the Inner Circle turned babyface, and like babyface Sammy in the Inner Circle was whatever. Once they started doing the whole stuff, like again, like when he wrestled Miro, I remember saying, like, I really hope Miro doesn't lose here. And he won the TNT title. And like it, to me, it just accentuated what I didn't particularly enjoy about him. Like I just don't, I don't enjoy his wrestling. I just think he doesn't really have much connectability. His matches are devoid of feeling often. And because he wrestles a babyface style, but he's not a babyface. You know what I'm saying?
He doesn't really ever do any heel shit. Like even when he was a heel in obviously not now. We haven't seen him, but
it's this weird dynamic and contradiction, because it's like his best stuff is his high flying and his athleticism, but he's not a super likable dude, and so it's like it doesn't work. But then if he works like a heel, he's gonna probably come off average, because his best stuff is his athleticism. So it's a weird thing, and I personally didn't really enjoy his TNT title run all that much, and it just doesn't really feel earned that he's the first 3-time TNT champion.
And it's weird, because I think that's how I feel. Like Sammy's bigger than most of the. I mean, bigger is like he's bigger than the smaller guys that AEW has, like the cruiserweights.
Yeah,
he should be like the power guy, like Andrade, because you see the way Andrade throws all these smaller guys. And I think Sammy and Andrade were like not the same size, but around it, like the same height and stuff. So I think that's what Sammy should be doing more of. And then I honestly think that Miro was supposed to lose to Kingston, but then since
that's what I thought was gonna happen.
And I thought since AEW fucked up, my bad, they messed up Suzuki's entrance, they had to make it a tag match. And they had to put King in it, and so they just gave the win to Sammy. And that makes me just think that Sammy was supposed to beat Kingston down the road too for it.
The thing with Sammy for me is that I think with Sammy, it's just I get why they're leaning into him being kind of like a corny heel. And,
I mean,
going to go down that route.
At this point, the fans have turned on him, so it's like it is what it is.
Yeah, that's not what I want to. I don't think that'll best serve him long term. So he's got this immediate heat that he's got at the moment, but he's just like, how can that sustain and also be good television?
I know what you mean, because I don't know if all of his heat is like just it doesn't feel like MJF heat of just like that heel that you like watching on the show, but like you want to boo him. Like I feel like some of it is kind of go away. Like I'm not even trying to watch this dude heat. Like it.
Yeah, so. And I think that's because it's so like I said, like because it's so corny. I don't want to be seeing him doing this corny stuff. And like when he's going out and cutting promos and saying to fucking Dan Lambert, "Oh, yo, I don't care about you or your dead grandpa." Like, bro, what? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what are you on about, bro? What are you talking about? Like,
it was bad. It was bad because they started playing his music, trying to wrap him up. He didn't even say.
Yeah, bro, he got the Oscars.
and like I said, I think it would be definitely brave to do so, but I'd rather it than the direction I think it's going to go in, because if he's dropping lines like what I just said,
no, I don't think he's
I'm not buying
the
into that. I think it would be better if he was more of like a vicious heel. Do you know what I mean? Rather than being like the corny, throwing out shitty insults heel. I don't want to see that. Being all loud and proud. I'd rather him be vicious and sadistic.
Listen, this is going to sound cynical and grim, but I'm always the guy who's just writing all these fantasy booking essays on Twitter and stuff, right? I don't have a single solution on how to save Sammy Guevara. I swear to God, I don't know.
I was quite reactionary. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. It was one of the times before they turned him, and it was just like, oh my God. I was like, I think they were booing him when they weren't supposed to be booing him, and I was just like, oh my God, he's finished. It was
do you think he's reached like Cody level where people have just like decided they're done with him in the AEW like audience?
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
I think I feel honestly like I'll go back to it again. Like that TNT title reigns, and him like the way he won the title against Miro, then of course like the brain started to burn out as well towards the end of it. Then he won it back. Do you know what I mean? So people are just, I feel like people for the moment have kind of had the thrill of him. I honestly don't think it would do too much harm. I don't know. Like, they've done the heel turn now, so he's around. Like.
So the thing is, I think what the TNT title needs is stability, because like it's just getting tossed around, you know. And when Miro had it, it felt like it actually rivaled the world title.
Yeah, definitely.
And what's going to happen is Sammy's going to keep the title. He's going to beat Sky for it, and then he's going to have it for a minute or two, and then I think Danielson's going to beat him, or somebody in the BCC is going to beat him for it, and they're going to have a star hold it. So that's what the title needs. It needs a star holding it again, and I think for now AEW sees Sammy as that star, and he's going to hold it for a while.
So like with Miro, crazy. I feel like with Miro, he is a big star in that, but it's not, and you definitely could put him in the main event, but he's at the same time he's not obviously the same level as Danielson, Bryan, or whatever. I feel like you could definitely get a lot out of someone on that kind of 1A level. So not quite here with your Danielson, your Mox, your Omegas, but still someone who's on the same level as like Miro, like a Keith Lee, man. Just give it Keith Lee for a year. I personally want Andrade. That is who I want the belt on, because if you give Andrade a year with that title and just say like, yo, defend it every week, like that guy's gonna go off. Like he's gonna go crazy with it. Or Pac, Andrade or Pac. They're my two. That would be my personal two picks for the next long TNT, right?
I think that's my biggest hang up with Sammy Guevara. It's the fact that he's holding a belt, and there's at least 10 to 15 talents on this roster that I think are better than him, that could probably better serve that championship. You know, like we have, dear God, like, you know, Malachi Black is on the roster, Andrade's on the roster, Swerve, Keith Lee, Powerhouse Hobb, and Ricky Starks is on the roster. There's just so many names, you know. To me personally, it's just like, we were told that the TNT title was going to be not a secondary belt, but like a belt that's going to feel like a main event belt. And I think at times they got towards a level where you could maybe almost believe that, but we're really far from that now. Like that belt to me doesn't feel like, you know, a secondary main event belt. You know,
it feels like the same as, you know, the Intercontinental or fucking WWE. In terms of, obviously, I know they have actual matches for it instead of what they do in WWE. But in terms of like prestige and compared to the world title, it's not a world of difference, man. Like they're the definite secondary titles that, you know, can be at the moment with the TNT Championship and both the Intercontinental US Championship. Feels like they could be lost or won in any match, any second.
Which is unfortunate because when Miro had that belt, I thought he really made it feel like it meant something.
Yeah, definitely. So, like I said, there's someone who's on like that Miro level, whether that's a Keith Lee. You could even try bring Swerve up to that level.
I don't think Swerve wants it. I don't know if you posted the quote.
Yeah, he said he did literally say he wants the world title.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, kayfabe, brother.
Oh,
he said he made a joke as well about like it's unsanitary because of what Sammy's done with it and shit like that.
I mean, I'll say this. I kind of like. Do you guys remember when Darby Allin had the belt? He used to like talk about how much he valued it and how it was so important that like. Remember, he would say like, "I don't even care about the world title. I just want the TNT title." Like that was kind of weird, but at the same time, to me it felt like I always like when wrestlers make belts that aren't the world title like. Act like they treat and act like it's so important that like it's just worth fighting for like that, because again it just adds prestige. Rob Van Dam never won the ECW World Heavyweight Championship, but he just made the TV title the world title like for him, and Darby Allin like the TNT title was his belt, and so Swerve saying that like I get it, but it's also like a subtle burial to me of this championship, like I'd rather it feel like the IWGP Intercontinental Championship was a couple of years ago, where like it can main event shows and top guys are fighting for it. Like I'll tell you what, if Bryan Danielson had a TNT title run, that shit would feel like the most important belt in AEW.
Yeah, of course, because I feel like when you're doing mid-card belts as well, it's like you alluded to Darby's reign. Darby was out there defending it. I think it was like 10 weeks straight. And when you do that,
and the main event,
Darby can get away with saying things like, "Oh, I like this belt more. This belt means more to me," because you can be like, "Oh, this is the belt that really gets defended." Do you know what I mean? Like this is the workers' belt. Like this is the week in week out belt. That's how I've always felt that mid card titles should be booked. And there should be titles to showcase people who are better. The best in ring guys that you've got who might not be main event guys yet.
100%.
So yeah, like I said, Andrade or Pac, because I think they're both absolutely phenomenal in ring. I could happily watch one of their matches every single week.
Yeah, exactly.
Put it on Dax, bro. I don't care. Like as long as it's someone who I pop for every single week.
Yes, exactly.
Imagine a Dax Harwood TNT championship, right? Like, come on.
Bro, I tweeted this not long ago that if I was running a wrestling territory, it'd be hard for me to not put my world title on Dax Harwood. Yeah, so
it'd be rough.
But the thing too with Pac though is he has to stay at the States. I don't know what he's doing. Like I heard now that he's not coming to the States right now because of personal issues. So it's just so I don't know. Like,
I hope he's good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why he just doesn't want to. Because I remember before the pandemic, Tony, I think he was supposed to live here in the States during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And Tony was gonna find him a place to stay and everything. But then, so when he went back to get his stuff, the borders closed and he just stayed there.
Oh man.
So that's why his push is stop it and go right now.
It's so weird, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
But at the same time, we know, because as fans, we know he's back and forth from the UK and US.
Yeah.
We kind of just like accept it. But he is genuinely like
one of the best talents they have.
He's phenomenal. Like even his promo, like he's not one of the best promos in the company, but he's a lot better than average.
Well, yeah, he's very confident on the mic.
Hot take: I think his vignettes are better than Darby's vignettes.
I'm not. I don't pop for Darby's vignettes at all. Like I get it, and I get that that's his like character and that's his look and aesthetic and everything.
Yeah, you don't like Darby's.
It's not for me. It's not for me at all.
No, I mean I like it. I like his vignettes, but Packs are awesome. Like he's just sitting in a room and you see like thousands of Packs just walking around yelling at him. Then he's just sitting under a random tree. That's cool.
You know what I would really like? I'd really like to get more wrestling from the House of Black members in singles outings, because I think all three of them are really good singles wrestlers. I think I'd like to see more of Buddy Murphy. I think he's
same here. I think he's underutilized so far.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is. He's just part of the trio, and that's totally fine. I just I think we should, and I'd imagine this Pac's travel issues and Fenix's injury is kind of what messed a lot of that stuff up. But I hope we figure out a new plan for them and reroute soon, because those guys are great. You know,
I think they should just put Pac.
Only Brits
What
will get
happened?
it. Only Brits will get it, man.
What did you read?
I
What
don't
happened?
think, I don't think you guys have Weatherspoons over there. So,
No.
No
but
idea.
yo,
Like what I
That's
would
a
do is
problem.
just put Brody and Murphy as a team,
Sure.
as a tag team, and then just have because like they're
I'll,
shooting
I'll
with
tell you. I'll
Fuego
tell you.
right now.
Yeah, I'll
But
tell you
then
what. Brian Danielson and John Moxley
Right.
versus Buddy Matthews and Brody King would be fire.
oh yeah,
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
definitely.
but I don't
Or
really
put both trios in a trios match. You know, just the BCC versus House of Black or something.
And
Yeah,
the thing is,
definitely, man.
I don't think the feud though is about Fuego. I think we'll see Miro soon.
That'd be pretty
I
cool.
Because I think they're just using Fuego as like the catalyst for
The
it.
catalyst for it.
Yeah, for all his stuff is talking about like Fuego's like the sun and all that. And same thing
Oh
with
my
Miro,
God.
like because Miro, like he was close to God and all that. He flew too
Yeah,
close
yeah.
and he lost. So like all of it plays the same. Like if you look at Fuego's character and Miro's story, he kind of
Yeah.
like goes one in hand with each other. So I think we'll see Miro.
I
soon.
want
Hopefully.
to say something about this, Montel. I don't know if you saw my tweet, but I said that because it really hit me because this week was the first NXT episode I watched in a couple weeks, and it really hit me that like the issue with Joe Gacy is that to me I think he started laughing at me because I'm leading somewhere here. The issue with Joe Gacy is that like to me I think the guy behind this character, like I've seen him wrestle a little bit in the indies. He's a pretty solid worker. The problem with him is he is not the right guy for this role when it comes to delivering like that dialogue, right? And I was talking about how I might have undervalued Wyndham Rotunda when it comes to delivering mumbo jumbo promos because right now in the business there are a lot of wrestlers who speak in these weird, shitty riddles, right? And a lot of them are bad because they don't deliver the dialogue well. And I think the only one right now in the business who is good at talking like that is Malachi Black. Like that promo this week when he was talking about Fuego and flying too close to the sun, that shit was hard. Like that was pretty dope. When he just emerges from out of the darkness to talk about this, like it was pretty freaking cool. So I just want to give.
That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah, I want to.
Out of the dark.
He's a super duper dope. I am. Murphy and Brody's delivery is just kind of like okay, but Malachi Black, he makes this like edgy lore, satanic stuff just sound amazing, So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Please move on with the Julia story. The Julia, man, I'm sick and tired of her walking around with that eye patch. Get that thing going. I don't want to see her paint leaking out of her eye and everything.
I think they got bored of that storyline and just kind of like put it to the side.
They're gonna go full WCW with you, give you a start of an angle, then just in a few weeks it's just gone. It never happened. Obviously this is a little different because it's gone on for months, so it's got to lead somewhere, man.
Yeah, I honestly think like whatever they were gonna do with that, because I mean they didn't drop it necessarily because she still wears the eye patch.
Yeah,
but they definitely got bored of whatever they were gonna do there.
It's because obviously they have to do the Varsity Blondes match, innit? So if you try, you know what I mean, with this level of roster, you're trying to get the Varsity Blondes on television every week so you can do this Julia Hart angle.
Yeah, that's a little tough.
Do you know what I mean? It's tough.
Yeah, for sure. There's too many good guys,
Yeah, and it's like, I know we've got friends that like to dunk and Mr. Brian Pillman Jr. But, well, at the end of the day, yeah, like
he does it to himself.
That roster's crazy. So like I said, trying to get a tag team like Varsity Blondes on, it's
if you were to give wrestlers on AEW like WWE 2K overalls, like it's just like the Varsity Blondes are somewhere in the 70s and there's too many 84 and above wrestlers on AEW that trying to get consistent time for guys who are 75s is just not. It's not feasible,
It's tough. Like it's one of the good problems to have, though. So
yes, it's an embarrassment of riches.
I'm not there feeling sorry for Tony Khan, especially with the way he does it, because like, we all know it's all pretty much him. Like so, it's,
exactly.
It's a tough one.
Just
to finish up,
Tony Khan show.
So yeah, just to finish up, last
Yeah.
last subject also. Someone told me earlier to ask you, Backup Hangman,
Oh boy.
how would you book the Punk versus Hangers match at Double or Nothing?
Oh my god. Fuck.
It's tough, man. It's
That's
tough, but it's going to
that's an
be a
annoying
subject we talk about a
that's an
lot and
annoying
change a
question
lot.
because I was morally against this match happening. So
Struggling with it.
yeah, no. I mean, look, my thing was like, and I understand why people are so super excited for this match, and ultimately, I'm gonna be a fraud and be excited for it too. But I wasn't super into the idea of super babyface Hangman Page, where you're still establishing going against super babyface veteran CM Punk, who like is on like a really nice honeymoon run right now. Like to me, I don't like matches where you're gonna force the fans to pick one of the two babyfaces. I think those types of things cause lasting damage to the other babyface. Number one. But number two, it's one of those things where it's like, for this to work, Punk has to go subtle heel, which he probably will, frankly, because he knows how to do it and he's great at doing it, and he's done it, against Eddie Kingston, and we saw like even against Dustin, he worked the match where Dustin was a sympathetic favorite. So if you're asking how do I book the match, it's pretty simple. You just build it around the fact that Punk kind of creates insecurity in Hangman Page by just kind of pointing out that, you're new to this shit and I've been there, I've done that. And can you really beat one of the big boys? And you just kind of build it around that. And then Punk just works heel in the match. It's very simple. How good is this match going to be? Probably really good. Hangman Page is an absolute stud. This dude is like, people don't mention him, but he's one of the best wrestlers in the world.
Yeah, straight up, like every time he goes out there, there's something about his fire in these matches as well. Like you can genuinely see in the way that he's doing these matches, like he's willing this thing, like
to being
there's
good.
no way. Yeah, he's not. He leaves it all out there every match, and like and it's impressive the way that he can translate that to me as a viewer. There
is a heroic and Herculean nature to his style of wrestling.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
If I can explain it, you know what I mean? Like he feels like a hero. He feels legitimately like a cowboy, man.
That moonsault super kick spot to the outside that he done with Adam Page is like it's so crazy. Like I don't even know why he did it. Like it popped me at the time. But like, why would you even do that, bro? Like that could have gone so wrong. Like, but it didn't. He hit it perfectly. Do you know what I mean?
I'm realizing that like one of the most awesome genres of babyface is long-haired athletic babyfaces. Like Hangman Page and Drew McIntyre. Like
Eric's, bro.
These dudes are great. So yeah, Hangman's a monster. He's a fantastic wrestler. CM Punk is a mastermind. So. You could ask me all day long how would I put this match together? Quite frankly, whatever I come up with is something Punk either realized or that they're gonna outdo themselves when they put this match together. Bottom line, Punk is gonna probably go subtle heel. Hangman's gonna be a fiery monster. Punk's gonna give submissions to Hangman and shit. They're gonna fucking bleed because it's AEW. So and it's gonna be great.
If you look at
putting
it,
over
Hangman.
Go ahead.
If you look at it, I mean, the crowd already chose Hangman.
Probably.
Because when Hangman came out to confront Punk, the crowd was going crazy for Hangman.
And it's a testament to AEW's booking.
He made a snug look and just walked back.
Yeah.
Who would you both put over?
It's a tough one. I'm not against either choice, to be honest. I think Hangman Page, you could literally give him a year-long Okada style reign and have him run through everybody, and it would be great. But I also realize that like CM Punk is still their biggest name, and they're gonna do a lot of shows in Chicago and all that. So like if they decided to run with Punk, I wouldn't have a problem with that either. Because one of the big matches down the line that I really want to see is Bryan Danielson and CM Punk. I want to see them run it back. So. If that ends up being a title match, I don't have a problem with that. Like that's a match that I think AEW could main event, a really big venue with.
Yeah. Hey, Montel, do you mind if I ask Heyman a question real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
What up, man?
I don't know what. So I don't know if I saw your take earlier. I don't know if you tweeted about it earlier, like about Dave saying about AEW's TV quality matches going up. And how, like, Yeah, I don't know if you want to like. I found it
To
interesting what you were
elaborate on
saying
it.
and everything like that. Yeah, if you can
Yeah,
elaborate it.
so for those that don't know, Dave Meltzer gave Adam Cole versus Hangman Page 4.5 stars, and whether you agree with that rating or not, he kind of had a point he wanted to make, which is that like if this match happened 5 years ago, it would be more raved about, and talked about for days on end, and be considered one of the matches of the year. And that because there's such a frequency of like really high level wrestling happening now on television, it kind of is here today and gone tomorrow. Now, personally, I think that match is here today and gone tomorrow because it wasn't actually a 4.5 star match. I once spoke to Ash about this on Twitter, which is that like, if you ever doubt your rating for a match, I think you should just think about how much are you thinking about this match like after the fact. You know what I mean? I think if it endures really and you think about it a lot and it sticks to you, it was really great. But hold on. In regards to TV wrestling, sorry, I had to go downstairs. Here's the thing: AEW is not a save it for the pay per view promotion. You know what I mean? Like historically, the philosophy with wrestling is like TV builds to pay per views. You know what I mean? You save your big match, your best match, your great matches for the ones that people have to pay for. You know what I mean? And so like before, it was like we were used to a business where it's like TV is where you do, the tags and the angles and the promos, and you get the 4 star wrestling match on a pay per view. And so now AEW, first, because they have only 4 pay-per-views and they have a roster full of just so many S-class wrestlers, like simply putting 2 of these top tier guys against each other for 10 minutes is going to result in stuff that you used to have to wait months for. And so now it's almost like they have fast food and fast tracked the process of just getting great matches. And so instead of waiting months for this type of stuff, you're literally getting just 2 4 star matches a week. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those things. And yeah, it's a product of just having a roster of this many really good wrestlers. So we're in an era now where you take great matches for granted. I remember in the past, right? Like if a 4.25 star match happened somewhere on a given week, the online community would alert everybody about it, and everyone would make sure to get their hands on seeing it. You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh man, this happened at this show. Like everyone, people would make sure to check it out. Nowadays, there's so many matches on that level that like if it's not on a promotion that you care about, you can just skip it, and it doesn't really matter. It's not like you really missed out on anything because there's so much of that. You know what I'm saying?
Over the just to kind of like back up your point.
Yeah.
Literally, I myself, my viewership is literally a perfect example of it because, with me and how much wrestling I watch, and I'm sure you two are the same. It's I'll be watching with the amount of these, like you said, these 4-star matches. We're getting them like 2-3 times a week now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like now the matches, the bar's been raised. Like 4-star match isn't a 4-star match anymore. So an example of it for me, I think it was one of you guys I was talking to about it. The recent Jurassic Express versus Red Dragon match. Yeah. Like, especially when I watched it back, it's a good match. The work in it's very good. Like, but I wouldn't be mad at anybody saying it was a 4-star match at all. Like I said, it was a good match. There was nothing wrong with it. There was a lot of heat. There was all this. There was all that. It had everything. But I found myself when I was watching it live, I was just sleepwalking through it, man. Because yeah, like I said, I was literally sleepwalking through it, man. And that's nothing against the performance or anything.
I think we're desensitized to like.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That exact word. Like,
to me,
nothing against the performance. I'm just a little desensitized to these matches. Like I can still recognize that they're good, but they're just not connecting with me the same way that they used to a few years ago. And like I said, I guess it's a good problem to have as a fan because you're seeing that many good matches. It's a weird thing.
In the past, what would happen like with the fandom? It's like you could watch a match between 4 people that you don't even really know well, and you're not invested in them. But if the work was just so impressively great on a level you don't see on normal television, it's a mind blowing thing. But I think now personally, I think what I'm starting to notice is what I'm starting to notice personally is that like for a match to be great now, like you have to do double the work because you have to have great. Because the thing is, there's so like most people on television are at least good workers now. Most people, and so because of that, it's like, okay, how do you stand out? And so now you have to do double work for your match to get over. You have to have good work, but you also have to evoke a feeling and connect with people. So
I think that's when it's noticeable when you have someone like Pillman or I don't want to like
I know what you're saying,
or like Orange Sun like out there, and you're just like, oh man, like.
Well, because now it's like guys like that, like realistically, like Brian Pillman Jr. and or Brock Anderson, these guys aren't bad workers. They're not bad.
Just bad on the show.
But just being well, they're not bad.
You know what, Brock Anderson? I said this on the show yesterday. Brock Anderson looks noticeably better recently.
I actually think he's been absolutely. But that's the thing. It's like being just standard and also being if you're a standard worker that's also not over, like it is tough going out there on an AEW show. You know what I'm saying?
Those two guys are good.
Yeah,
but they're not like compare them to an AEW talent, but then if you put them on NXT 2.0, I still feel like the best workers on the show.
Brock Anderson versus Braun Strowman.
Oh my god.
No, Braun Strowman, Braun Breaker.
I know what you know. I'll say I know what you mean by that, but to be honest, I don't know if Brian Pillman Jr. would be the best worker on NXT 2.0.
Oh, he's like a bad example. I should have used Griff or something.
Yeah. He would be upper tier. Yeah, Griff would be like top 5.
I think Griff's pretty good, to be honest.
Griff's pretty good.
I wanted to use this match as an example. Like nobody talks about it because it happened in the Bucks. I think it was the Bucks' first title defense, and the match happened so early in the year last year. It was the Young Bucks versus Death Triangle, and like that match got like I think 5 stars from Dave, and everybody else was going crazy about it. I remember being in school in class, and then I got a text message saying, "You got to watch Bucks versus Death Triangle." And I remember taking my phone out of my pocket and trying to read through the Twitter, and everybody kept raving about how awesome this match was, how incredible match of the year contender. And then by next Dynamite, everybody forgot about the match, and it wasn't even on people's lists.
See, then that speaks to my rule because. Not to be, the curmudgeon, even though I really thought the match was good. I did not think that match was a 5-star match. And I think I ended up being right in the sense that, like, nobody talks about this anymore. To me, again, I keep saying this to Ash, like, because he agrees with me on this. Like, because, like, sometimes, like we were talking about Hiroshi Tanahashi, right? And we were talking about how, like he was saying how, like, maybe he's not technically doing certain things that are more impressive than other guys right now. But like he makes you feel something, right? And like for me, wrestlers that make you feel and think about what they do in a way that like lasts with you after they wrestled, that's actually valuable wrestling. And so for me, those are the matches that like I will give really high ratings to because it's like I still think about them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Matches that like in the moment really pop me and it's like and they wow me and they dazzle me. Like those are great, but a lot of them sometimes kind of just come and go. And so for those matches, I can't go 4 3/4 for. I can't go 5, but that's just me personally.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm a big guy. I'm a big connection mark as well. So to like give an idea of what more taste is. That FTR versus Briscoes match is probably the greatest tag match I've ever seen taking place on American soil, to be honest. It's probably the greatest tag match I've ever seen that didn't involve one of the 4 pillars. Wow. That's because they connected. They made it feel like, they had the big fight feel. You had like, you could feel the hatred between Jay and Dax. Like it was perfect to me anyway. It was the perfect tag match. Matches like that. Matches when CM Punk's bleeding all over the place, and
100%.
Eddie Kingston and Jericho were getting fired up.
Absolutely.
Eddie Kingston's so amazing at that.
I think
he's genuinely, for me and my taste, he's one of the best wrestlers in the world because of how good he is at that. He don't need to go out there and do moonsaults or take crazy bumps. Like he has took a few crazy bumps, but You don't need to go out there and do like big spots and stuff. Like he gets the crowd behind him. He gets fired up. He fires up the crowd, and people connect with him. Like he's one of, like I said, one of the best in the world at that thing.
100%.
I don't know who I was talking to. I think it might have been Roderick on Twitter, and I was talking after the Briscoes FTR match, and I remember watching that match, and I was on Discord at the time, and we were talking about it while it was happening, and then like 5 minutes in, I just had this feeling like I was watching something special. And I remember I just got off Discord and I said, "All right, I'll guys talk to you later. I'm gonna watch this match." And next thing I know, 10 minutes passed. I thought 10 minutes passed in like real time, and the match was over. And I said, "No way, this match is over already. It's been 10 minutes." It was like I looked back, 30 minutes passed by.
It's crazy.
And I'm just sitting here thinking, maybe I just saw one of the greatest tag matches I've ever seen. And that was like I put that up there with the Golden Lovers Bucks match, and I got the same feeling during the Hangman Omega match versus the Bucks, and I also got that during the FTR and Bucks match, the first one and the second one, where I was just like, I'm watching something special, and I was telling him like, I have certain 5-star matches where I think they are 5-star matches when I watch them, and then when I finished watching the FTR Briscoes match, I was just like, I don't know where to put this, because it is a 5-star match, but at the same time it isn't, because I feel like it was more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it like that. That was like the best way I can explain it.
You know what I would say, man? I'll be a dork and I'll put it like this. I watch wrestling pretty much every day, but I don't experience wrestling every day. Yeah. That's way harder to do. And I'll tell you this, it's easy to forget something that you've seen and watched. It's not easy to forget an experience because that's like a lingering feel. You remember how that made you feel. And I tweeted this when because I'm, for those that don't know, I'm going through the WrestleManias and I'm reviewing like key matches. And I wrote that like Steve Austin versus Bret Hart was a match that I didn't watch, I experienced it, right? Very similarly is something I could say about CM Punk and Eddie Kingston, because in the moment, I just remember watching Full Gear, and we were kind of like 2 to 3 hours deep into this show, and things were kind of, it was becoming somewhat of a slog a little bit, and it was almost like this match was a shot in the arm. It was just 11 minutes of just like fire and anger and passion and violence, and I just remember feeling that. I just remember like being so just locked in on what these guys were doing. And I'm just never gonna forget that. So for that, of course that's gonna be one of the greatest AEW matches of all time to me.
I remember I was supposed to be at that Supercard of Honor show. Like I was gonna go, but I'm glad I didn't, because I feel like being there. It was still like the same experience, but I think watching it on TV was just something like
the atmosphere was epic, man. Like to be in the thick of it there, because I think one of Joe's friends, Alex, was there, and he was just like, "This is something special. Like this is something else."
I'm never gonna to me the moment in that match that leads is embedded in my mind forever is Mark tags in Jay Briscoe, and Jay walks into the middle of the ring, and he's pointing at Cash to point in Dax, and then he tags in Dax, and Dax just with the
way he looks down at the floor,
and
he's walking up to him like, "This is it.
This is the captain." Like he's like, "This is my show now." Like the way he walked up to him was like, "This is my show, and we're about to go." And Dax just started laying those forearms, and I was just like, "Man, listen,
literally, that's the things they had. They would have me on my feet for like shit, like for like a tag,
I feel like this is the these are the captains of both teams. These are the main guys, and they're here to." They're gonna provide why these two are the leaders of both these teams, and I was just like, "Fuck, man, this is crazy." And then Jay hit him with that suplex onto the floor and all that. And I was like, "I hope it doesn't end this way,
bro."
Yeah, oh my god, that was nuts. Yeah, man, that's the thing about it. So that generally speaking, Manny, that's kind of my elaboration on that question. It's just because to me, I kind of not defensive, but I take mild exception to sometimes when people perpetuate the narrative of just like, oh, wrestling is just way better now than before. I think I have a different perspective. What I would say is this, because to me, there's always existed in going back 40 years. There's always been great workers. But what's happened is people coming up in the business now are just there's an increased priority on great wrestling, and people coming up in the business are emulating all these great wrestlers of the past, and so it's just doubling and tripling the amount of people on that level, if that makes any sense. Before it was like if you were to ask somebody who was a hardcore fan in the mid 80s, like who are the great workers in the world, you're gonna say, okay, like Jumbo Tsuruta, whoever, Tiger Mask, Tenryu, whoever you want to name, Ric Flair, Steamboat, right? Okay, so there's maybe 5 to 15 S-class guys in the world. But now you have guys coming up who are just training and emulating these guys and taking the right lessons from these people. And so the amount of S-class guys is like it's so there's so many of them. And so you couple that with a wrestling culture that prioritizes good matches more now, and the fact that, like I said, AEW, we have a promotion now that caters to hardcore fans who value these things, and so they are trying to put on like the best show possible every single week. And so you now have, it's like an equation to just shoot out and just shit out like really great wrestling all the time.
Yeah,
and so that's kind of what's going on.
It's really tough. Times have changed, and it's I think we've just surpassed the 2-hour mark. Probably about time we got out of here. So before we go, is there anything that either of you want to plug at all?
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. If you don't follow me on Twitter, follow me at Backup Hangman on Twitter. I just tweet about wrestling. But the one thing I do want to plug is that I'm going through every single WrestleMania, and I'm giving out detailed reviews of every main event. Show by show, I'm also kind of going through some of the key matches as well, and I live tweet when I watch the shows. So if you ever happen to catch me on Twitter live tweeting, just hang around and feel free to read my reviews. Those are on my pinned thread on my page. And again, follow me at Backup Hangman on Twitter. I also am affiliated with Pro Wrestling Musings. I have not been particularly active lately on the platform, but they do great stuff. So definitely follow PW Musings on Twitter.
Yeah.
If you're into stats and analytics, they're really great with that stuff. Yeah. And so, those are my plugs. Thank you so much for listening. And
You got anything to plug, Manny?
You can follow me on Twitter at MannyBoy3298. You can read my article on Wrestlepurists about
Samoa Joe, Kobashi.
Yeah, Samoa Joe and Kobashi.
Yes, sir.
And then I'm writing another one. I'm trying to write another feature right now about Joe and Necro Butcher. So hopefully I can have that out soon. And also read Joe and Wizard's stories of Bucks and FTR and the Briscoes. Those are great. Those are awesome.
Co-signed by Dax Harwood himself.
Yeah.
Was a very proud moment. Was very happy for the boys. But yeah, man, the usual stuff. Like and subscribe on here. Much appreciated. Wrestlepurists.com, at Wrestlepurists on Twitter. And have a blessed day, everyone.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Thanks for listening, guys. Have a great day.